Thunderbolts. As within a review, this may contain spoilers. Do you prefer peanut M&Ms or regular M&Ms? There's a theme to the story: loneliness, void, and purpose. The void aspect refers not only to how the characters feel, but also to the void of a superhero team for America and the world now that the Avengers have been disassembled. The loneliness aspect is more straightforward. Some characters feel lonelier than others. Yelena is the prime example of this. She feels lost in the world and feels abandoned by her father Lexi, aka the Red Guardian. The purpose aspect is captured more by the aforementioned Alexi and John Walker. They both are once highlighted figures for their respective governments. Nowadays, they have fallen from grace but continue to see themselves as their previous versions and are having trouble coping with how their lives have turned out. Basically, they're living in denial. Before I get too ahead of myself, the story follows a group of side characters from previous Marvel movies or Disney Plus shows, with some of them working for Valentina Allegra de Fontaine, who is the director of the CIA. Those who work for Valentina include Yelena, John Walker, Ghost, and Taskmaster. Valentina is under a lot of scrutiny and under investigation by government officials for some of the covert operations under her supervision. Facing impeachment, Valentina goes into cleanup mode and tries to get rid of any program, dark side, and people that could potentially be used against her. Unbeknownst to Yelena, John Walker, Ghost, and Taskmaster, they each are under the pretense that they were sent to a covert facility to stop and kill each other, as they each were there to steal information from the facility. As they fight each other, they realize that they got set up by Valentina and were trapped in the facility, as the facility itself was to be destroyed, which would then kill each of the characters. While fighting, a new character named Bob appears, who woke from a suspended animation pod. Bob was part of the failed Sentry program, or so they thought, that would bestow godlike powers to a regular human. These powers include flight, strength, speed, and many more. The superpower set is similar to that of Superman. The characters stop fighting and decide that the only way they can escape is to work together. On the journey to escape death from Valentina's army, Bucky Barnes and Alexi join the group and work to keep the four alive so they can testify against Valentina. Bob gets separated from the group and Valentina tries to use him and introduce him to the public as the new protector of the people. One of my biggest complaints, if not the biggest, of Marvel movies have been the lack of character development with the villains. With the exception of a few, namely Loki and Thanos, the rest have been poorly established and downright forgettable. Thunderbolts actually has three villains: Valentina, Sentry, and the Void. Valentina and the Void are no surprise, but you may be wondering why I included Sentry as a villain. Sentry is a character who thinks of himself as more powerful than a god, and while he may not kill people because he feels invincible and superior, he basically feels he doesn't have to put in the effort of killing someone he doesn't fear can hurt him. He also feels he doesn't have to answer to anyone. That's a dangerous mentality to have when you're as powerful as he is. I'm happy to say that the villains in the Thunderbolts actually have an arc. That being said, the story of Bob/Sentry/Void could and should have been more emotional than what we got. Bob deals with dramatic changes in his self-worth, if you will. He has very high highs and low lows, which makes a person with his abilities even more dangerous. In addition, Bob has dealt with trauma as a young kid and ended up abusing drugs as an adult. The movie referenced his trauma and drug use, but didn't go far enough in my opinion. I think this may have to do with the film's rating and keeping it PG-13. However, I think there are ways to go around it in a sense without having to show the trauma in detail. For instance, you can show Bob on the streets and the effects the drugs caused him. Show him tweaking out. Show him vomiting and wandering aimlessly in life. You could also show him going into recovery and trying to get off drugs and better his life. Show the times he relapses. Make the audience empathize and sympathize with his struggles. When Yelena goes into the void, show the audience those moments that Bob went through. Yelena can use those moments to show Bob that he's not alone and worthless. That he tried to make something out of his life by entering the Sentry program. That Bob is stronger than he gives himself credit. I don't usually feel this way, but I think the film needed an extra 20 minutes or so. That will give it enough time to pack on the emotion even more, not only for Bob, but also the other characters. We get glimpses of each character and their struggles, but not enough in my opinion. The following is spoiler territory. Let me speak on Taskmaster really quickly. Why use the character to kill it off so quickly? The reason I think the character was used was to tell the audience that these characters who are trying to kill each other are not playing games and there are real consequences. I like the character of Taskmaster, but the way the MCU implemented the character didn't work for me. And so it was an easy choice to use a character that didn't work and instead use that character as a tool to give the audience a sense of what the main characters are capable of. The following is in regard to the end and is definitely spoilers. I didn't like that Valentina wasn't outed publicly. Yelena told Valentina that they own her or something to that effect after she introduced the group as the new Avengers to the American public. Valentina is a character who will try to regain the upper hand. While I do enjoy her character, I have a hard time believing the new Avengers Avengers will be able to control her or believe that they could. That may be fun to see, but I can't see these characters trusting her, and I don't think they would risk giving Valentina that amount of power, even more so than what she already has, even if they think they can control her. The group is going with keep your friends close, but your enemies closer type of thinking. Another question I have regarding the ending concerns Bucky. Now that he's a member of the new Avengers, does he remain a member of Congress? That would be an interesting concept to explore. I imagine citizens complaining about a conflict of interest. How much leeway or special privileges is he getting from the government? Would other politicians ask for his resignation? Overall, the movie is good and it may be worth watching. If you stuck around this long, why not give the video a like, try it out, see if it works, subscribe, check out my other videos, leave a comment, let me know what you think of the film. See you in the next review. There's a theme to the story. Loneliness. The loneliness aspect. I think this may have to do with the film's rating and keeping it PG and keeping it PG-13. I think this may have to do with the film's rating and keeping it PG and keeping it PG-13. Good Lord, man.